Hello friends and welcome back to Picture Astrology. In this quick snap video we will talk about placement of Saturn in the sign of Libra for a Pisces Ascendant horoscope. So when Pisces, which is the 12th sign of the zodiac, rises in a chart, then Libra falls in the 8th house, and 8th house, as you know, is actually one of the most difficult houses in astrology to predict. It is really one of the biggest mystery when it comes to astrology. And here we have Saturn exalted, because Libra is the exaltation sign of Saturn. So an exalted planet in a relatively challenging, mysterious house of 8th makes this combination and reading and interpretation of this quite a challenge, as well as it makes for a very interesting reading. So in next few minutes we will try to find out what this Saturn can mean in a chart like this. So before we begin the analysis, let's first see how many areas of a chart can this one placement of Saturn affect. So when Pisces, which is the 12th sign, rises, Capricorn and Aquarius falls in the 11th and 12th house respectively. And these two signs are ruled by Saturn. So 11th and 12th house will directly be impacted by Saturn's position in Pisces Ascendant horoscope because of lordship of Saturn. Now Saturn is placed in the 8th house, and as we know, it is in the exalted position. So exalted Saturn in 8th house will definitely impact the 8th house significations, and this is what actually makes this position very tricky, because 8th house is not an easy house to interpret. And now in Vedic astrology, Saturn also has some special aspects. Saturn aspects 3rd house from itself, which will be all important, 10th house of your professional success. Saturn aspects the 7th from itself, which will be 2nd house of your family happiness. And Saturn also impacts the 10th house from itself, which will be the 5th house of your creativity, your love life, your kids, etc. And not just this, Saturn has some inherent karakas or natural karakas. Like Saturn is the karaka of your life force, the kind of service you render, and that in turn means your professional success also. Saturn also shows the kind of debts you need to pay in this life, things which you must carry out for others, because this is some kind of payback to others, or the kind of rinanubandh you may have with others. So you see, this one placement of Saturn can impact umpteen number of significations. And as always, in this video we will talk about some of the most significant and practical aspects of this Saturn, which you can feel in your daily lives. So let's start with the 8th house affairs, because Saturn is placed here and it is also karaka in some ways of the 8th house. And 8th house first of all shows your life energies, and Saturn in 8th house definitely imparts a long life to the person. See, Saturn is karaka of your age, and it is one of the exceptions of the rule karaka bhavanashaya. Saturn in 8th house definitely gives long life. However, it can also give old age related issues. That means, so what does it really mean? First of all, it means you must start saving money for your old age now, when you are young. See, Saturn is lord of the 11th, which is the house of gains. It also aspects 2nd, which is the house of your wealth. So as your age progresses in, you must understand that you are going to have a long life, so you must have enough saving which should last and keep you in good stead in your old age. This is a must. So this is the first advice which you can give to anybody who has exalted Saturn here. Even though exalted, you must start saving for your old age. And second thing which this Saturn can indicate is it can show a lot of diseases or tendency or proneness of the human being towards certain kind of issues. First of all, most important one is digestion related, digestive tract. Why? See, Saturn is aspecting 2nd house, which shows the kind of food you eat. Saturn is also aspecting the 5th house, which is the house of your stomach. It is the place where all that you eat gets digested. And Saturn is placed in the 8th house, which shows your excretory organs. So generally, even though Saturn is exalted here, problems related to constipation or things which start with constipation, things which start with simple digestive troubles but later on in life becomes a larger problem, like sometimes piles or any other digestive tract related issues that are very commonly associated with this placement of Saturn. Now Saturn in the 8th house is also the house which shows your hereditary issues, things which you get from your parents or from your family. So generally Saturn here can indicate that not just you who have digestive problems, but your family members, especially your mother, father, or your grandparents also have this kind of trouble. And this becomes even more pronounced when Rahu or Ketu are anyway associated with this Saturn. Especially if there is Rahu, then you can clearly say that your paternal or father side grandparents would have similar kind of problems. If there is Ketu associated, then you can say maybe your mother side grandparents would have something similar of a trouble. And if apart from Rahu Ketu there is also aspect of say Mars, then you might have to undergo actually some kind of surgery to rid yourself of these kind of problems. So another most important thing is take care of your digestive system, and it should start with from the things which you eat and all the way up to the entire digestive tract. Now another very important thing with people with this kind of placement is they should avoid eating at late night, because Saturn represents night. So people who have this placement, many times it is observed that and especially if moon is afflicted by this, moon somehow comes into the influence of this Saturn, then people with this kind of placement tend to eat at night or late at night, and that many times becomes, when you're young it doesn't cause much of a problem, but late night, very late night eating and then sleeping soon after can be one of the root causes which later in life cause further digestive problems. So late night eating please avoid if you have this placement. Now let's talk about the important second house aspect of this Saturn. So second house shows your face, your mouth and everything on your mouth. So one important thing we already talked about is being very cautious about what you eat and not eating late at night. Second thing is keeping good care of your teeth as well as your speech. See, Saturn is exalted, which is great, and it does make a person very hardworking. Okay, Saturn, 8th house is like the spark plug of your life. For an engine to start, the first thing you need is spark plug. So 8th house is that, so if you have Mars here or Martian influence on the 8th house, then the person becomes, very quick to act, very, very quick. However, Saturn here exalted gives a person sort of, instead of quickness, a persevering tendency. They can persevere for long. They think before they jump to action. Okay, which is a great thing. However, this aspect of Saturn on the second house, which is in the sign of Aries. Now, Aries sign is Saturn's debilitated sign. It is lorded by Mars. So this aspect is not particularly helpful in many ways, especially when it comes to your speech and keeping care of your teeth. So please be on the lookout for cavities, obviously, on the second house. And if there is influence of Rahu also on the second somehow, then people with this placement can easily have bad breath. That is very, very important. And also how you speak, especially with your family members. So even though the Saturn does give you hard working and kind of persevering and gives some kind of patience in your life, however, it is observed many times that when they deal with their family and the way they speak, somehow they lose all of that patience, and that can create friction in your life. So being especially careful, obviously, with dealing with your family as well as your kids. See, Saturn also has aspect on the 5th house. So don't be too harsh on the kids. You love discipline. Exalted Saturn always gives, not just perseverance, but also a love towards disciplined lifestyle, unless Saturn is somewhat afflicted. So and that they can enforce very rigorously on their kids. And the kids' home lord is Moon. See, Moon is the planet which waxes and wanes every day. Moon is never same. However, Saturn likes sameness. Saturn likes everything every day to be following a particular kind of routine. Whereas your kids, being lorded by Moon, would not be like that. They would be more moody. They would have more mood swings than you do. And if you try to enforce a lot of discipline on them, especially early on, you can enforce discipline, but only with love and care. Don't try to be strict with the kids too much. So that's another very important thing which this Saturn needs to be kind of telling you. Now let's talk about Saturn's aspect on the 10th house and its lordship of the 11th. See, 10th house is the house of your work and 11th is the house of your gains. Now, lord of these two houses, Exalted, is very good. So Saturn here, in exaltation position is perfect, being lord of your work house, professional life, as well as your gains. But it is in the 8th house. 8th house is house of everything sudden. So what it means is, many times these people will find their work life as well as the money they earn on the gains they have from that can go in spurts. They may not have like a constant upswing like this, but instead they will have spurts of growth, and then some stagnation or some consolidation, then spurt of growth, and then some consolidation, and then spurt of growth, like that. And they can earn money from or gain professional success from strange situations. Or many times, as soon as they get a growth spurt, a sort of big gain in their professional or social life, they suddenly find themselves in a tricky situation. This is very, it's very difficult to explain, but this is what this Exalted Lord in the 8th house does. It gives you success in spurts, but when it gives you success, it also puts you in some kind of spot. So it's very important to have at least the understanding of this Saturn and how this functions, because you should never mind. You get a spurt, and if the things are not going like this always up, don't worry. A second spurt will come. So that kind of understanding is necessary. Now obviously, if there are some aspect of Jupiter on this Saturn, then this sudden jerks, I would say, would be minimized. But these kind of life also makes the life worth living. It keeps people interesting. There will be always something or the other exciting happening. Especially when it comes to the work front as well as profits or gains of profits from business. So friends, I'll stop here with this quick snap analysis of Saturn. As we discussed in the beginning, there can be 100 other things which we can talk about when it comes to the placement of Saturn. And also other influences on this tricky position becomes very important, because as we saw, exaltation is a great position for Saturn to be in. However, 8th house is a very tricky one. So if there are benefic influences, it tilts the balance in a great way. So thank you friends for being with me so far, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon with a new one. Bye bye.